Hi, in this video, I'm going to demonstrate the crawl feature in DataMiner 5.0. First, you might notice that my DataMiner icon is slightly different than yours. Well, this is because we'll be doing updates throughout the next couple weeks, so you might see a few changes as you use the tool. All right, that said, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So I'll open up DataMiner, click Start Scraping, and this process will actually be a two-step process. The first step will be to run a page scrape to extract the URLs from every individual profile, and then you'll do a crawl scrape, which is where you use those URLs, and DataMiner will visit each one and apply a detail recipe to capture the data. So the first step would actually be to do a page scrape when doing a crawl scrape. So I'll go ahead and go to the page scrape section, and I do have a video that covers this in a little bit more detail if this is your first DataMiner video. So I would recommend watching the page scrape video first, because I'm going to kind of go through this section a little bit quicker than normal. So I'll do select recipe, sandbox URLs, because we're on the sandbox page, and go to the scrape tab. There are additional pages at the bottom. So I'll do, let's say, 3 pages, just for example, change the wait time to 5 seconds, and hit scrape. Cool, so now DataMiner is clicking to the next page and scraping the data as it goes. As you can see, it says total rows 4, soon that will increase. You're now at 8, looks good. And as you can see on the download tab, we're acquiring more data as we go. And cool, so I think, yep, the stop button is now disabled, so we now have that full list of URLs. So at this point, you want to save it so it can be used within your crawl. You can download it. You can do a CSV, Excel, or copy to your clipboard. But if you were to download it, you would have to do a CSV and then later upload it in your upload files section. So I'm going to go ahead and just do save as to keep it all in DataMiner. I'll call them URLs and then do save as. Cool, so now we have that. The next step is to do the crawl scrape. Now we're in the crawl section, and this is where we'll perform the actual process of visiting each one of those URLs and scraping with a detail recipe. So let's go ahead and click New Crawl, and again we'll do click Create New Crawl. And since I saved the recipe, or sorry, since I saved the URLs as a file, I'll use saved scraped results. And now we'll do the name of the file that I saved, URLs, and we now need to tell DataMiner which column they're found in that file. So it says right here, column 1 is URLs, so I'll type 1, and we hit confirm. And now DataMiner is checking to see if they're valid. Yep, they look good. So now we can move on to the next step, which is recipes. This is where you're picking the detail recipe that will be used on those individual URLs. So I have one right here called sandbox detail. Looks good. We'll do select and scrape. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see a preview of the first URL. That looks good. So now we can move on to the crawl scrape. And this is where you essentially create that crawl, and you can save it, run it, and eventually download your data. So you're going to want to fill out this form just with the basic info. So crawl name, we'll just call it crawl test. And for the output file name, I'll just do crawl test out. And then wait time between URLs. This is similar to the page scrape next page process. It just is what allows the page to fully load before DataMiner scrapes. 3 seconds is good by default. And there are a few additional settings that I recommend looking over. I will not go over those in this video. We will eventually have videos that cover this, but for the time being, I'd say just kind of look them over and maybe play around with them a little bit. For this video, I'll skip that. They're not really necessary for just a basic scrape. So now I'll go ahead and do save and start crawl. And at this point, DataMiner will now go to each one of those URLs one by one. You can see down here there is an image of the page that was last scraped. There's also a log of what's happening, and then you can obviously go to the download tab and see the data being downloaded. So this right now is that first URL. So we have the status, the original source URL, and then the name and all the data from that detail recipe. So at this point, you will want to let it run until it goes through all of the URLs. At any point, you can always download it, again, as a CSV, Excel file, or copy to your clipboard. You can also save as, again, if you want to keep it all in DataMiner for the time being. And you can always then just stop the job if you wanted as well. You would do that from here. So there's one last thing I wanted to mention. So for this process to work, you actually need to keep the tab open, since this is where all the data is coming from. So what we actually recommend is creating a new tab and then pulling the data to a new window, so you never really have to worry about it. You won't touch it. It'll just kind of just exist while the scraping happens. And then you can go about your day and do work on the other window. So yeah, you never want to touch or close this tab. And then also, you don't want to ever close DataMiner, because this is what's running the entire process. So that is pretty much it. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to our support. Our email is support@data-miner.io. I hope this video was helpful. And yeah, if you have any questions, reach out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.